Anytime you want to begin, Richard.
Shall we commence? Okay.
All right, I'm starting.
Oops. Sorry, I messed up my share. I'm gonna try it again. Sorry about that. Oh wait, before I do that, let me put it on speaker view, share. There we go. Oops, let me get this out of the way. There we go.
Hmm.
Whenever you're ready, Richard.
I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm so happy with my mind stayed on spirit. I'm so thankful that my mind is stayed on spirit. I'm so thankful that my mind is stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Okay. Not hearing you, Michelle.
Yeah, it might help if I unmute, huh? I said, good morning, everyone. Nice. Would you mind muting, Richard? That would be helpful. Thanks. And I just want to welcome everyone again to our online Sunday service. And our practitioner of the day is Reverend Leslie. And so I'm going to invite her to do our invocation. And I have her quote that I'll share as well.
As we join together this morning, we give thanks for a new year. And we are grateful to be able to be here together and for all that we have been through, knowing that it has made us stronger as spiritual entities and that there is more change yet to come. And we are open to change. And right now we are open to receive that the soul has been longing for, knowing that it will continue for many, many years to come, and that it comes in many ways. In the music that we hear, the prayers that are said, the words of wisdom from the Sunday morning lesson, and from comments from other people. We are so very grateful for the growth that is taking place in us as individuals. So we open ourselves right here and right now to receive that which we need to receive. We let it go, we let it be, and together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Leslie. I'm going to share your quote.
The quote this morning comes from the Science of Mind textbook from Ernest Holmes. And he wrote, "The range of our possibilities at the present time does not extend beyond the range of our present concepts. As we bring ourselves to a greater vision, we induce a greater concept and thereby demonstrate more in our experience. In this way, there is a continuous growth and an unfoldment taking place. So let's enter into some time of silence as we center ourselves. We now bring ourselves back to the room. Our affirmation for January is: there is a timeless wisdom within me. I open my heart and allow it to flow. I am always at choice. I am the vision caster of my life, and everything I think, feel, say, and do is in service to my vision of good. And so it is.
Thank you so much. That quote that you chose, I actually almost used for my talk. It could not have been more perfect. That is what we're going to talk about, how we are constantly using these unchangeable divine principles to create a new vision. It's timeless. So Richard has some special music for us. I'm not sure which one of the songs he chose, but whichever one it is, it's going to be perfect.
Yeah, I'm still working on the other one that you suggested, and but here's one that's a timeless song. By the way, Happy New Year to everyone. Um, this is a new opportunity to create what we envision inside of ourselves, and this is a song by John Lennon, and it's so perfect in the sense that this world can be what we imagine it to be. We can make it happen. It's called Imagine. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood, sisterhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world will be as one. Will be as one. Imagine that.
Oh, beautiful. That is such a sacred song to me. Just, yeah, our imagination is what casts that new vision. Mm. And again, Richard, if you wouldn't mind muting yourself. Thank you. Oh, so good morning. And as Richard said, and I've said already, Happy New Year. Personally, I'm kind of excited about being able to step over the threshold into the year 2021. I am ready to create something new. I don't know about you. I bet you are. And I mean that from a personal perspective. Personally, I'd like to create something new, and collectively as well. I'd like to see newness come into our collective consciousness. Ready to move into a new vision for our world and to do whatever it takes, you know, both in consciousness and in action in the world to bring that vision about. Recently, I've been hearing a lot of people throwing around the term, I'm woke. Have you heard that? Oh, I'm woke. He's woke, she's woke, we're woke. You know, and it's a phrase that is, it's sort of loosely connected with the Black Lives Matter movement. It has kind of a political or social awareness connotation, which is great. but I like the idea of being woke. Being woke means I'm aware of the truth behind something that's just under the surface, you know. I don't just take everything at face value. If I'm woke, I'm not only aware of how things currently are right here in front of me, but I'm willing and I'm able to envision a better world and endeavor to create it, endeavor to bring it into being. So my intention for 2021 is to be spiritually woke, to 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 wake up to what is really going on behind the obvious, to see that there's this power and a presence flowing through me that created what is, and in that same power can be used to create something new. So my intention is to be woke to the truth that spiritual principle will run the show quite nicely if I simply allow myself to participate with it, you know, with its beauty and its wisdom and prosperity, love, and all the other things that we equate with attributes of the divine. So as I become woke, I give others permission, either consciously or unconsciously, to wake up themselves. So my intention for 2021 is to be spiritually woke. I love that idea. And it's fun to say too. I want to be woke. So we have a wonderful new theme for our Sunday messages throughout 2021. That I think will actually support this intention. The theme is, actually it's the theme of the year, is the theme of the month, and it's today's talk title as well. So we're starting off on the same page here. Our theme is Timeless Wisdom Evolutionary Vision. Isn't that great? Because that's really who we are as a spiritual movement, right? We're founded in the timeless wisdom of changeless spiritual principle that has been handed down to us throughout the ages. And we're grounded in this timeless wisdom so that we can cast an evolutionary vision through our conscious use of it. You know, we're empowered to step into a greater vision for our tomorrow. And one that includes everyone's good, because we know that the good that is available to us, available to you and to me, is available to everyone through this infinite and unchangeable universal principle. And this timeless wisdom that we teach. And I believe of all of the things that we teach, the basic, one of the most powerful and basic principle for me is love, because it is the most fundamental and foundational spiritual principle to everything else. Love is the foundation of everything. You know, Jesus told us that. He said, let me see if I can find the quote so I say it correctly. Jesus said, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might and with all your mind. And of course, when we talk about the Lord your God, we're talking about that presence, that infinite creator that is constantly moving and working through us. And he said, this is the greatest commandment. And then he went on to say that the second greatest commandment was to love your neighbor as yourself. And I love that one, because if we love our neighbor as ourselves, then the implication is that we have to love ourselves as we love spirit, God, the life that moves through us. So, and our founder, Ernest Holmes, I know we all use this a lot. I remember recently Maureen used this quote. I love it. It's from the Science of Mind text. Ernest Holmes said that love is the central flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself. Don't you love that? I love that. Love is foundational to everything. And that is the primary timeless wisdom that we are privy to, that we have inherited from this historical wisdom that is handed down to us since the beginning of, before people could even write. So timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision is a perfect description, in my humble opinion, of what New Thought is all about. And you know, as you know, probably, that New Thought is the umbrella under which Centers for Spiritual Living, which teaches the science of mind philosophy, unity, and other metaphysical teachings, comes under. When I first heard the term New Thought, I assumed that it referred to a new religious perspective, which it does, but it's not just that. There's more. But before I get into that, I wanted to share a funny little story that happened to me when I lived in Grants Pass. When I first became the minister at Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living, I had just stepped into the role of senior minister, and a woman from the local newspaper called me, and she wanted to do an article about my becoming the new minister there. So I said, sure. And I did this phone interview with her, and I thought it went pretty well. I explained that science of mind, unity, divine science, any other metaphysical teaching comes under the larger umbrella of New Thought, which I thought was pretty clear. And actually, I wasn't even sure that I needed to say that because, I just kind of thought everybody knows that. But when the article came out, it said, the article said that Grants Pass Center for Spiritual Living belonged to a religious denomination called New Cloth, CLOTH, which made no sense at all. And it made me realize, I did call the newspaper and they did print a correction, but I don't know if anybody ever read the correction. It made no sense at all, New Cloth. And it made me realize that what I took for granted as common knowledge was not as common as I thought it was. And that if we, as metaphysicians, want to use this philosophy, this spiritual movement to transform our lives in the world, that we have a responsibility to do a lot of educating around it. But the kind of education that we really need to do does not come so much from what we say, we don't want to proselytize, but from how we model the principles themselves, from our words and our actions in the world. That's the kind of educating that we need to do. I know if I see somebody whose life is working, I want to know what they're doing. So that's how we educate into this whole idea and philosophy of New Thought. And New Thought is a new way to understand the divine presence. And New Thought teaches a new way to be in relationship with this creative force of life and the universe, this divine presence. But that's not all New Thought is. But I want to share this quote. Let me share my screen from Ernest Holmes. And I ran across this in one of my talks, and I don't know exactly where it's from. I just copied it from an old something that I had written down before. So I'm going to share it. But if anybody wants to know the source, it's somewhere in Ernest Holmes' literature. I'm not exactly sure where. So let me get this up. I have to change the screen here. So Ernest Holmes wrote this. I think you can see it. This philosophy is nothing new to the world. It is rather a synthesis of the greatest concepts that have ever come from the mind of mankind. The laws of Moses, the love of Christ, the ethics of the Buddha, the morals of Confucius, the deep spiritual realizations of the Hindus, the deep mystical revelations of the saints of the Middle Ages, the laws of parallels and compensation of Emerson, the logic of Kant, the spirituality of Swedenborg, the beauty of Browning, and the wide universal sweep of Walt Whitman, all find an exalted place in this philosophy, which is science of mind, of course. So I really love that quote because it really, I has found this to be just so true, that one of the things that I love about science of mind is that we are so inclusive of the spiritual traditions and science and philosophy and art and literature and all the places that we draw this timeless wisdom from, and at the time when science of mind and unity, divine science, and the other New Thought organizations came onto the scene, this was a very sources, you know, of religion, science, philosophy. And instead of focusing on their differences and comparing and contrasting what's better and what's a worse representative of universal truth, everyone, Holmes, all of the founders and the pioneers of metaphysics began to focus on their underlying commonalities. What are they all saying? And are they saying it in a new and a fresh way? But it's really about the same spiritual principles and the same ideas. And I think that's true. And that's really borne itself out in my understanding of New Thought and Science of Mind in particular. So while New Thought certainly describes a new way of approaching the ancient or timeless wisdom that we've inherited, and while it gives us practices to weave this wisdom into our daily life, the words New Thought articulate what I think is an even more basic premise of our philosophy. And that premise is that a new thought creates a new condition. How simple is that? That a new thought is a new way of thinking about who we are and connecting with the divine presence and participating with universal law through our connection with this divine presence. And in so doing, creating a new condition. A new thought creates a new life. So timeless wisdom, evolutionary vision really does describe how this philosophy is so useful in today, in our contemporary lives. New Thought or Science of Mind teaches us that we create our lives through our thoughts, our feelings, I had a list, our beliefs, our attitudes, our values, our actions, our words. And that when we have a new thought, a new feeling, new belief, new attitude, new value, new action, and new words, we create new conditions. We create a new life. And this timeless truth means that no matter where we are in the arc of human history, we can always cast a new evolutionary vision for a new world because it's continually and infinitely unfolding through this principle, this law that is always working. And it's as true for us today as it was for the first people that walked on planet Earth. I mean, honestly, it's pretty cool, really, when you think about it, that a new thought can cast an evolutionary vision anytime during our history. It's kind of awesome, really. So as you probably know, if you've been involved with Centers for Spiritual Living for any length of time, it is traditional for Centers for Spiritual Living to have the messages in January speak to the very basic principles, the spiritual principles that Science of Mind teaches. We generally call it Back to Basics Month, and we review the first 4 chapters of the Science of Mind textbook. And honestly, as the words are coming out of my mouth, I'm already bored. I'm already over it. So while we're deviating a little bit from tradition, which I think is always a good thing, to consistently or constantly really change or tweak tradition so that it remains relevant to our lives. You know, we do want to keep some of the flavor of our traditions because, you know, that honors it and it honors our history, but we don't want to get stale. So we have to update them and keep them fresh. So having said that, the first week is always a focus on what Ernest Holmes called the thing itself, you know, which is, of course, what we call God, spirit, life, whatever name you use that resonates with you personally, because that's really important that it resonate with you. And we focus also on our deepening or the deeper relationship and connection that we have, our experience of this thing itself. And Ernest Holmes wrote, I'm going to read another quote. I didn't put it on the screen. I'll just read it. I like this because it speaks to the fact that I was talking about earlier, that I believe love is really the basic principle, because we often use the thing itself, God, as a synonym for love. So Holmes wrote, in an intelligent study of the teachings of science of mind, we come to understand that all is love, and yet all is law. Love rules through law. Love is the divine givingness. Law is the way. Love is the foundation of universal truth. And I believe the purpose of life and law allows it to be demonstrated into the world of form. To the purpose of love, to love and be loved, is demonstrated through the power, the consistent and constant power of law, which is always working. So have you ever been around someone whose mere presence kind of puts you at ease, where you just feel really comfortable with them? Someone who would just feel so good to be with them, and you always kind of gravitate to them if you're in a room with them, you know? What is it about these people? They resonate at the level of love. They are peace, and even joy exudes from them. You know, I once heard someone ask this question, that if it was against, I don't want to get it wrong, if it was against the law to practice your particular faith, what evidence would they have to convict you? I love that idea. And I think we can tweak that to be about love. We can say, if it was against the law to be the presence of love, what evidence would they have to convict you? Or in other words, do you resonate love in your thoughts and your feelings and your words and your behaviors? What evidence is there in your life that someone would believe that you know that love is the highest way to live, the highest expression of life? What evidence is there in your dailiness? So if timeless wisdom teaches us that love is the highest expression of life, and it does, then how are we using that wisdom to cast an evolutionary vision of love? And that's what we're talking about, is these these timeless truths and wisdom, using them to create and to move forward in an evolutionary vision of what we want the world to look like. So how do we trust and live love in our everyday lives? What a great question to ask ourselves as we move through our work. When something kind of upsets us and we pull back and say, hey, am I expressing the highest level of life that I can? Am I expressing love? And it's my personal opinion that, and I believe that our philosophy teaches this, that love is the transformational power of life. And if you're anything like me, and you probably are, the big question that I think is in front of us right now is, how do we use this power, this truth, to cast an evolutionary vision for today? Because I don't know about you, but I really think we need it. It's something I've really been thinking a lot about lately, especially when I look around. If you turn on the TV or look on the internet, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I look around and I hear and I see the evidence of such division in our world, you know, and I'm concerned about the fervor and the rancor of people who are so certain that they're right, you know, unable to soften and to see that we really are one and that we really do all want the same thing. We're just going about it differently. We just all want to be loved. We want to love. We want to have security and safety for ourselves and for our families. You know, and I see us as a culture and a world really pushing up against each other in a futile effort, a futile attempt to find peace. We do not find a sense of peace and contentment by trying to prove we're right or having other people see how we see. And do y'all see that in the world around us? You know, and it challenges us because we all care about certain issues. Most of us want to follow the guidance, the inner guidance of love, you know, the guidance of our our loving values and our ethics. And we want to speak out and we want to take action on those issues that we feel really deeply about, the ones that match our values and our ethics and our morals. And we know at the very depth of our being are true. So here's the challenge, though, is that in taking action, in doing what we believe is right, it often pulls us into the old field of energy of what we don't want, of what we're conflicted with, of making those who don't believe what we believe the other, and it can generate a greater divide of separation and fear, which is exactly what we say we don't want. And we often fall into that trap of trying to fix what is wrong rather than casting a new evolutionary vision for what we do want to see in the world. I hope this is making sense. It's an illusion to believe that we can fix what is wrong with the world, because we can't. All we can do is to create a world in which we all want to live, where the underlying foundational principle is love, and to be that and to hold that space, because pushing against what we don't want never works. So if we continue to be grounded in fear and separation, how can we create a world based on oneness and love? And I think this is the leading edge for us. We often talk about the growing edge. This is it for us as a spiritual movement, as communities, as individuals. This is it. This is our growing edge, to explore how we can speak about issues that matter, that really do matter, that go against the very principles of oneness and love, and at the same time cast a new vision of love and respect for all life. I do believe that there is a way for us to do this and to not get pulled back into the energy that created the things we don't want to see in the first place. And it's going to take a lot of spiritual maturity on our part, and openness and willingness, and don't get defensive when I say this, a willingness to look at our own defensiveness that rises up in us when we see the world and we think that's wrong. And I get defensive because I don't want to see that happen. But as my defensiveness grows, I'm just pushing against what is. And that's not what I want to do. I want to cast that new vision. I want to lay it out there in front of me. And as I do that, everything that makes it possible will line up and support it. That's the way it works. And I got I want to just say one more thing before I close up here today. But I got some really simple insight into how to do this in our daily life. I was listening to Michael Singer. I was listening to a YouTube video. And he had this really simple analogy of how I think we can practice not getting pulled down into the energy of the things we don't want to see. And sometimes we come up against what seems to be like this massive orbit of conflict and separation and division. It really wants to pull us down, and it can be anything. But in this case, let's imagine that we're being pulled down into that place of anger and frustration about something we're opposed to, bigotry, whatever it might be. And our anger and frustration is pulling us down into that same energy of what we say we oppose. Well, here's what Singer says to do. So he invites us. I always want to say invite, because nobody can tell us what to do. They can invite us in. He invites us to imagine that we're in a tug of war, and we're on one side, and then there's this entire NFL football team on the other side. And we've prepared ourselves for this big tug of war battle. We got our footwork figured all out. We've learned how we can move and pull from a particular angle to use all of our strength. We've studied all the techniques we need to win. And as we're struggling to win, we suddenly realize that we don't have to win by opposing that force that is pulling us in, that we can win by simply surrendering. We can simply relax our hands and let go. Then there's nothing pulling us. The NFL team on the other side will fall back and will have been freed up from all of the energy that we're trying to pull against. And same for us. Now this energy is not pulling us forward. And we can use that energy that we were using to struggle and fight with the opposition on the other side of the rope to create what we want to create. Do you see how that works? When we're not using our energy to fight what is or to fix what's wrong, we are using that energy to create a new vision, to cast a new vision of what we really do want to live. And we can do that individually and we can do that collectively. And that is a lot of energy because there is a lot of energy in us that gets freed up when we simply surrender and let life be what life wants to be and stop fighting against it and start creating and using that energy to create something new. Free it up to cast the vision for what we really do want. And when we're being the observer or the witness person or our consciousness, there's the word I was looking for. And we've talked a lot about this in our classes and workshops about being in that observer or witness mode. When we're there, we're in non-struggle, we're in non-aggressive, in non-negative. It's a wonderful place to start. Here we are. I'm not judging, I'm not blaming, I'm not pulling at the tug of war. I'm just witnessing what life is. But here's the beautiful thing about being in that space. It's simply the launching pad from where we really do want to go. And then we can move into that greater sense of connection with the all that is, stand in that flow. And then we can create a beautiful new vision for our future. Our evolutionary vision is our talk and our theme is this month, this year, today. So I want to create that vision for our individual lives and for our collective world. Then everything we do, we have a level, a square by which to square our thoughts and our feelings and our words and our actions and our values and our attitudes, and everything that we do, think, feel, say, is in service to this new beautiful vision, whatever it may be, and most likely it will be love. And the energy that we've freed up by letting go of the struggle, the tug of war rope, is now free to create, to be in service to this wonderful new vision. And the energy of life that is in us is always moving up and up and up. And it's up to us to get out of the way so we can use it to do love's work, to be the purpose of love. And as I said, love is the reason we're here. Love is the thing itself. It is the timeless wisdom, and it is the evolutionary vision. So let's pray. I invite you to take a nice deep centering breath in. Oh, I like that. I know that God is absolutely all there is. God, spirit, the creative force, the thing itself, timeless wisdom. Oh, it is all that exists. It is love. It is life. It holds us in its comforting embrace. And we are one with it. We are living our life within the beauty and the wisdom and the allness of this all-encompassing power and presence. It's divine and it's sacred, as are we. So I speak my word for it about each and every person that is present here on this call, and each and every person that is not. Each and every person that walks upon this beautiful blue orb that is spinning through space that we call our mother, and all life throughout the universe, which I'm sure there is plenty. And I speak my word knowing that there is a shift, an opening to experience, to know this timeless wisdom at a deeper and a deeper level. And that we allow that to make the path clear, to cast that evolutionary vision for a world that works for everyone, so that everyone is washed in the loving power and presence of this divinity that we are all a part of. And that this becomes our way of life, that this becomes the way that we speak and think and act and feel. It becomes our behaviors in the world, our interactions in relationship. It becomes the vitality and the energy in our healthy, beautiful body temples. It becomes the work we have come here to do, and we are in service to it. So for this new way of being and thinking and feeling and being grateful for, I simply know that all is well, and that as I cast this vision through my prayer, through my word, through my feeling, it is already done in the mind of God. And as it is already done in the mind of God, it is done in my mind and in your mind, and it has no choice but to demonstrate into our physical reality. For there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect, and that life is our life now. So relaxing into that, I simply say thank you. I allow it to be, and we signify our agreement by saying together, and so it is. Deep, deep breath. A lot of words. Thank you, Richard. So this is our time of conscious giving. I invite you to please support Centers for Spiritual Living, to support One Heart, One Mind, Center for Spiritual Living. If you already do, I am so deeply grateful, because it enables us to get online and do our work together and create that evolutionary vision that I was talking about today. And that all through Centers for Spiritual Living, if people are doing the themes for the year and the month, we're all talking about what that looks like and how that comes to be in our individual lives and in our centers and in the world. And that is powerful, and that is transformative. So I invite you to join with me in supporting that financially. And I have a affirmation. Here it is. I'm gonna have to change my screen. That's okay. I invite you to imagine that you are holding your energy of money in your hand over your heart, even though I know we give virtually these days, and say this affirmation with me. I recognize that my gift is an instrument of the energy and love of God. As it flows from me, it uplifts and it advances all life, including mine. I give and receive joyously. I am so grateful. And so it is. And I'm pretty sure that it's Relaine who is doing the benediction today. Am I right, Relaine? I think I am.
Yes, you're right.
Michelle,
Oh, and you know what? I forgot to share the screen. Oh, yes. Oh, did you want to do some
we have some
announcements? Yeah, sorry.
announcements.
Sorry
Guess
about that.
what, guys? It's birthday Sunday, and an opportunity for us to honor and celebrate anyone who has a birthday in the month of January. So if you have a birthday in the month of January, would you please raise your hand? Oh, Robert.
Me
Good.
too. Mine is on Thursday.
Shall we?
Down.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Robert, etc. Happy birthday to you.
We will be having our discussion group again on Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock on Zoom. And I will be facilitating that. And I'm going to call it Digging a Little Deeper. We're going to be talking about Byron Katie's material, The Works, and also some of the material that's in The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Okay. And then your Wednesday class begins again in the new year.
Well,
And
we had one class already last week, but we're having the second half of session 6 on Wednesday.
okay, great. And I wanted to let you all know that Christine Taylor, who is Rosie's daughter, has been diagnosed positive for COVID. And Rosie also has the symptoms. So I wanted to let you all know so that we could keep you in your keep them both of them in your prayers.
Absolutely.
I think that's it for the announcements right now. So we're ready for Relaine to give us our benediction.
Perfect. Thank you.
So let's just take a collective breath of gratitude and feel all the love. It's just wonderful that Reverend Michelle talks about love today. We could just take a moment to feel that love in our body and our mind and our soul and our spirit, and to feel that love individually and collectively. And it's full of gratitude and kindness and compassion and empathy and openness, receptivity, and just allowing and being. And just knowing that love is very powerful and very gentle. And that there's an openness and a willingness for all of us to express all the love that we're meant to express in this life. And it's so easy, and it feels so good, and it's full of such kindness. And so I'm just so grateful for this time together, for the message of love, knowing that we are love in and of and through us, always and forever and eternally. And let's us simply say together, and so it is.
And so it is. So Steve said he'd share the birthday cake if I made him co-host. So, okay, Steve, I did.
Oh, isn't that pretty?
Ooh, that looks good. All right. Happy birthday. Who else besides Robert and I has January birthdays? It's got to be somebody else. No?
Jim.
Yep,
Jim has a birthday.
Yeah.
Jim Clark?
Jim Clark, January 25th.
Oh, wow. You and Robert are just a couple of days away from each other.
Yep.
That's great. Happy birthday. All right. Well, let's see. We are going, there we go. Let's see. We are going to sing oh, loving
Loving
kindness.
kindness.
Yeah, you know, I put all 3 verses in there, Richard. I put I, we, or I, you, and we, I think. So
Right, exactly.
yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Here, let me share my screen. What did I do? I messed up. I don't know what I did. There we go. I'll get it going here. All right, there you go. Move this down. It's always a little dance. There we are. There are the lyrics.
Yeah. I, you, and we. Everybody ready? May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. And may you be happy. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. And may we be happy. You're muted, Michelle.
I just said, now there's a vision for you. We can cast that vision together. All right. Oh,
Oh,
hi,
yeah.
Helena. I didn't see you there. And Sarah and Betty. I'm so glad to see everybody.